Peace. It is an honor to have you here. Today, let us talk about modern mythology and its use in occult practice. Video games. We all love them. Most, if not all of us, play them. I definitely do. And just like everything around us, the games are influencing us. They are like modern myths that inspire us and can also offer a lot of material for our occult work. For those new to my channel, let me explain few things. Modern mythology is how I call video games and movies. We can include books too. All the fandoms that are fascinating us and we enjoy them. Just like older myths, they have a lot to offer. They are myths of our own time. They are our myths. And so in occult sense, they are not without value. Then there is the effect of monkey mind. Simply said, what monkey see, monkey do. This is simple and great description of how our behavior and mentality works. It is well known that when people get into a situation where they don't know what to do, they usually do something they saw in the movie. Good example could be the first aid. When people don't know what to do when someone is in need, they usually resort to something they saw in the movie. That's actually real. Not always the right thing to do, but they do something. In fact, our subconscious mind cannot really tell the difference between TV show and reality. So our brain doesn't work that way. It cannot tell the difference, and that is why people, when they don't know what to do, they do what they saw in the movie. This is how we evolved. For magic practice, this can be both a problem as well as an advantage. What content you expose yourself to affects your mind and can also affect what you subconsciously believe. And this is why people growing up in Christian religion work so well with occult schools of Kabbalah, demons, or angels. But for example, people like me, who did not grow among Christians, these paths are practically useless. However, I have other paths open to me. Good example is Norse paganism. And of course, video games. There is a lot of struggle surrounding these modern practices of chaos magic. However, I decided to show you that this stuff can be a matter of serious practice and pretty effective one. Because the truth is, material doesn't take practice more or less serious or more or less genuine. It is the practitioner and their approach and dedication that makes your practice effective or not. So let us take a look at one game character that I experimented with. It happens today that we get drawn towards a game character. First thing to do, just like with any other demon, god, or any other thing, is research. The games tend to have some lore around them, especially if they are part of multiple mediums of the same lore. First example, Castlevania is a collection of many games and now a series too. I think it's on Netflix. Yeah, Netflix. It has vast and wide lore to study. Not to mention that it keeps being around Dracula, who is a character of vast power. I think that by now there is over 100 movies about Dracula. I'm not sure, but I think it is over 100. They are still making new and new movies. Another example would be World of Warcraft. It has phenomenal universe with vast lore and a lot to draw from. And there are many more examples of such games, like Skyrim, The Witcher, Assassin's Creed, definitely Warhammer or Middle-earth. And there are more and more examples. My occult experiment was done with character from Final Fantasy VII. This specific Final Fantasy is one of the most famous ones and one that keeps being very much alive meaning new games are still being created in this one. And perhaps you already guessed right. Maybe, perhaps not. But let us take a look at occult practice with Sephiroth. Since I'm about to discuss that game and Sephiroth, it is only fair to give you spoiler alert, just to be sure. Well, now you have been warned. So let us continue. Researching the character in the game starts with playing the game, or at least watching a gameplay on YouTube. In either case, this is most likely the way you meet the character that calls to you on deeper level. The gameplay doesn't give you everything, of course. After the play, you should dive further. There is Wikipedia, that tends to have a great study material and references for further study. Description of history or personal tale of character is very useful. There is also a lot of value if you find a list of other media where the character is present. This load of information has a value for occult work. The story, character, ambition, abilities, all are telling you about occult value of the character you are studying. It doesn't only help you design what you need for practice, but can also tell you why are you drawn towards that persona. What connects you as well as what the lessons and paths might be available in this way. So, what got on my list? First thing that hits pretty hard is Sephiroth is actually a vampire. Yeah, not exactly an obvious one, but I got really convinced that he is, despite lacking fangs and obvious bloodlust. And here's why. If you are familiar with the game, you know about all the mess that happened in Nibelheim reactor. For Sephiroth, he was seriously wounded, type of wound that you cannot survive without medical treatment. Well, maybe unless you know some really freaking powerful healing magic. And he fell into Mako and that way disappears from the story for 5 years. Then he appears again alive, but not exactly like alive. He appears and disappears like an illusion yet very much real. And it seems that he died yet is alive. Sort of like Schrödinger's cat. Alive and dead at the same time. The undead existing beyond limits of physical existence. I think that is actually good description of a vampire. He also seems to be gaining his power from Mako, the live stream. Mako itself is kind of strange, a life-giving poison. If you are worthy, it makes you very powerful, if you are exposed to it, but if not, it damages or even kills you. Human blood is kind of similar. If a normal human drinks it, it will cause iron overdose and damages. And it can even end the game for you. Yet we need it to stay alive. Some people might say that it is a venom, but that cannot be true because we have blood in our veins and it doesn't poison us, right? Sephiroth has even more vampiric abilities. He can shapeshift, he can do mind manipulation, he can levitate, has highly increased strength and speed. And there is that cute detail in the end that he is truly defeated only when his physical body is finally found and destroyed. Not that it ends him for good. In the lore he returns again somehow, but it is interesting observation, I think. Along with being a vampire, he is obviously a chaos angel. He has one wing capable of flying, apparently following different laws of physics than we usually observe. A vampiric angel, or angelic vampire. Either of these is fascinating concept. So, that much for a vampire. Next concept that seemed to be connecting with me is pursuit of immortality and becoming something else than human. Something more, the divine. Although the name Sephiroth comes from Kabbalah, his path is not exactly Kabbalistic. Kabbalah explored the creation of God, but cannot go beyond it. Sephiroth seems to go beyond, which is a rather path of Gnosticism, to become a god in his own right. When dying from his wound, he apparently made a huge jump, already having the knowledge of the path, and he forged in himself strong belief that he is son of goddess Genova, whatever she actually was. But conviction was actually so powerful and his willpower so strong that he overcame death. A very impressive feat for so short time he had to do it. And afterwards, he never again lived as a human. He was indeed something else, existing beyond reality, exploring other realities, gaining knowledge that humans cannot understand. And he became one of the seraphim, the highest order of angels. Probably showing how close he got to the goal he had in this tale. Though it could be understood in occult sense that he achieved his goal to the end. If you ever heard of the book of Enoch, the Enoch in that book, in the end, becomes Metatron, the powerful angel and a seraphim. However, and this is pretty interesting, the oldest version of this text, this was understood as becoming a god. And I really mean God, that Enoch went to heaven and became a god, which was not exactly in line with later Judaism, so it was first reduced to smaller god beside their one god, and even more later, it was reduced to become just an angel. But basing on this text, an angel might be a god. I'm playing with it here a little, but I can do that, because I don't have to be loyal to the game in setting down my own headcanon for occult practice. I'm playing with it a little, but I can do that because I don't have to be loyal to the game canon in setting my own path for occult practice. In fact, it would be limiting of my own potential. Game is an inspiration for occult practice, not the law that cannot be changed. Lucky me. I think that's enough for this video, though there is definitely way more to tell about Sephiroth. I cannot do everything for you, okay? Do some of your own work. Still, when you get your research of the character, you get the resources for designing stuff needed for the occult practice. First thing that easily comes to mind is sigil, a symbol representing your chosen persona. In some games, main character tends to get a symbol that represents them, one or even few, and they are definitely usable. Some are very simple, some are more complex, but with some practice you can master drawing any symbol, and if not, you can use a printer or keep the picture in your device. You surely have many options. If the persona doesn't have any symbol, you can use your own favorite way of developing a sigil. Again, a lot of ways to go about it. The most notoriously known is designing sigil from the name, taking letters, forming them into the symbol and then using that symbol. Sephiroth now has two symbols I'm aware of. One is a stick figure with wings and blade. This one, the black capes were on their back. Second one was developed along with model of Sephiroth wearing a kimono. A symbol made from two wings and what seems to be a crystal. First one is very simple. Second one is rather complex to draw. However, either is usable. Honestly, I like this art of symbol for the characters. In a way, artists are making the game characters more approachable this way. But again, if there is none, nothing wrong in making one yourself. That way has advantages too, because you add into the symbol some of your own energy, which brings different advantage into the practice. It can make connecting actually a little easier. I'm not big fan of elemental magic. but it is so useful that it is worth exploring anyway. What is main element of your character? This simple piece of information can help on deciding what occult stuff you want to use when working with the character. Sephiroth is person of very strong will, so I assume him to be the most in tune with fire element. Maybe you would say something different, and if so, go for it. It's your magic. Deciding the element, for example, can help you decide what colors to use, what materials, smells, or even music instruments if you can play music. Very useful stuff, actually. With knowledge of the character, the next thing to explore is what real-world things can be connected with the character. Then they can be put on the altar. They can be offerings, as well as reminders for the practitioners. With Sephiroth, we can start with obvious. Feathers are a very obvious thing connected with angels. Black feathers, especially coming from the right wing, are a great symbol for Sephiroth. Second obvious thing is katana, especially Nodachi. Sephiroth is character designed in Japan and gets traits from that country, which are worth noting. His katana is named Masamune. I looked into the name, which is very famous in Japan and often used in games. The name comes from Chinese language. The meaning of it in Chinese is authentic. I like that honesty. To be authentic for a person means to be true to yourself. Something truly worth having. Another one, less obvious yet very specific for Sephiroth, is a shampoo. On Wiki you can read that he uses an entire bottle of shampoo every day, and each day he uses different one, so his hair smells different each day. I find it quite funny. Logically, there would also be a hairbrush. You cannot do hair care without hairbrush, right? In this case, I'll stay away from pointing out food and drinks. Not much clue here, and I rarely do offerings of this kind. For main characters from the games, there is one more thing that is worth looking into. A lot of them have their own music or song. Along with them, there is quite likely some ambient that can be related as well. Sephiroth has theme song named One Winged Angel. I prefer Advent Children version with changed lyrics. This song now has multiple versions. Along with this one, there is another one, those chosen by the planet. And as ambient for Sephiroth, I like to use Resonance by Wave Stereo Sound on YouTube. That's a really good one, honestly. And one more thing. If you want to chant, then you have to form a mantra. Easy enough is to simply use the name. In case of Sephiroth, you can also use some of the song lyrics that are short and actually sound great when repeating. They actually repeat in the songs themselves. Choose what is good for you and what sounds good to you. It is you. It is up to you. You will be using it. Alright, that should be enough to be prepared for practice. Now, when we want to connect with a spirit, who answers? Will anyone answer when we work with something like a game character? How can it be real? I do not dare to throw in theories about how these things beyond matter work. Inevitably, these theories will be more or less wrong. It is enough to understand that if you call into the void, the being that you are calling forth, some way, somehow, it will come and answer your call. If you give it enough effort, it will come. And that is probably all I can be certain about. The rest is mystery. But that is enough. What does it mean to give it enough effort? It means that 5 minutes probably won't be much effective. One good example of this work is staring at the sigil and focusing on or meditating on it. The more energy you give into it, the more chance you have for things to work. I keep saying that meditation, to start getting effective, should last at least 30 minutes. 45 minutes to 1 hour is good time for me for a meditation practice. Daily, of course. So focusing on sigil with this intent for that long is going to make some effect. If not at the first day, I believe that it won't take many days to get some real experience. When I established contact with Sephiroth, I started feeling that he demands me to take up katana and start practicing. I decided to agree to that demand. It is long-term practice and actually a good hobby. Martial arts are in fact great spiritual practice. So I am actually happy for that change in my life. Having this entity in life also makes laziness something not really appreciated. I'm wondering how much to say here because all experiences you get with any entity are inevitably personal, and it is better to be on your own journey. It doesn't do much good to say too much of the experiences, because then it tells your mind what must happen in order for your own experience to be genuine. But it is not true. You are not me. My life is not the same as yours. And so, my spiritual life is different from yours as well. So maybe it is better if I stop here. I don't want to get much of admiration for my spiritual adventures. My intent is to inspire you to go on your own adventures. I hope that makes sense. Though still, you are going to need to put in some real effort if you want to get somewhere. Every skill takes time and practice to become of good use to you. Be it drawing, dancing, driving, swimming, using katana. A long way for me to go yet in that one. Or meditating, astral traveling, or any other occult art or skill. So don't be lazy. Laziness is not a good thing, and it won't get you anywhere. Overall, the practice with modern myths, games, movies, pop culture is just as valid as any other. What truly matters is you, the occultist who is doing the art. And perhaps one last thing. When you call forth a spirit into your life, you have to be prepared for changes to come. This new energy you invite in will surely make some effect on you. Like me and katana training. It is something that is demanded, but it is also rewarding. And that is good balance. It is demanding for connecting and for energy offered to Sephiroth, but it is also rewarding me with physical workout, self-improvement and enjoyment. And that is a good outcome. If you refuse to make some changes, you can easily lose the real deal and end up only with a dream of your mind, if anything at all. Not saying that you have to do anything that is asking to be done. You are master of your life, and some things are not worth doing. But then, why to call something forth to join you, if you then refuse to give it some of your time and effort? Really, why? Okay, enough. This is more than enough for today. Thank you for your time. Go in peace and guard your heart well.